So do you think that there's any sort of moral constraints regarding sex, or is it just as long as she's DTF?
Yeah, I think there's all kinds of moral constraints. Like, for example, the one that you said sort of might be consent. Of course, consent is a big one. Yeah, the girl should be willing, right? That's one. The girl should be sober, right? You should not hook up with drunk girls. 3, the girl should be on the same page as you, so you should not lie or gaslight your way into having sex. There should be no kind of coercive pressure involved. So, meaning if you're like, her boss, right, and you basically put out that she has to fuck you to get a promotion, right? That's using coercive pressure. So, yes, I do think there's certain ethical parameters that I have. But I would say this: everyone's ethics are a little different. Now, there's some things we can all agree on, or at least 99% of people can agree on, are universally makes sense. Like, I think consent is something 99.9% of people agree is a reasonable, good, positive, ethical metric, right? So yes, there's some universal ones, and there's some personally I think when it comes to lying, that'll be more split. I think a lot more guys, maybe 20 or 30% of guys, will be okay with lying to get laid. I'm personally not okay with that, right? That's a personal ethic I have because I value honesty.
So you wouldn't take any sort of issue with people using your tactics to like have gay sex either, right?
You and I probably fundamentally disagree on that, but I don't really think my tactics are going to be. First of all, I don't think they're necessary to have gay sex. I think it's pretty easy if you're gay. You just say, "Yo, I'm a bottom 7-inch cock," and I think that's pretty much how it goes. But no, I could, hypothetically speaking, I could care less as long as it's consensual. Yeah, it's totally up to them.
Okay, and now this is another one that I've used. I use this against the LGBT left. Of which of your principles would be violated if somebody were doing all of this in an incestual relationship?
So if someone was using my tactics to bang their sister,
sure.
Yeah, that's not something I want. But again, the exception doesn't make the rule. Just like a hardware store doesn't want people to buy their hammers to kill people, right? But they still sell the hammers because most people don't use the hammers to kill people. They use it for carpentry. It's the same thing. Yeah, I for sure there could be some odd one-off scenario where someone uses my tactics to, I guess, bang their sister or bang their mom or whatever. But that doesn't mean I'm going to change my content because that's not what's intended for.
Well, no, I'm not saying you need to change your content because of this. I'm saying your principles of sexual morality are not violated when it comes to something like incest. Isn't that a little weird?
Well, no, I'm an only child, but if I had a sister, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't bang her. So I don't understand what the question is.
Okay, so
I don't bang.
I'm glad to hear that, Alex. Yeah. I'm glad to hear that. That if you had a sister, you wouldn't bang her, bro.
I was 0 of them.
Yeah. But it's like, I guess my issue is like there is like a slippery slope component to this. Like when you are pushing, when you have the personality that you do, when you're pushing this kind of ideology of like of hookup culture and putting sex at such a high tier in terms of like societal value and like what, like almost like what validates the individual is their ability to have sex. And you're pushing sex on people as a popular, fun, cool thing to do. You should be able to articulate like hard constraints of sexual morality that if you ask me, they shouldn't lead to the permission of incest in principle. Like it should be like, okay, this is what the constraints of sex are, and incest not allowed. Incest bad, and this is why incest is bad.
Well, I can't.
It's weird that you can't do that.
Well, I don't know. You just brought this incest thing up, and no one's ever brought it up before.
Yeah. But it's really exclusive to like the Christian right. Like nobody else could make this argument.
I don't know. It's a little bit of a bizarre argument, honestly. But okay, let's address it. Yeah, I'm not in favor of people banging their sisters, right? I've never publicly said that because I felt like that's like pretty common sense. I think 99.9% of people watching my videos aren't trying to bang their sisters. Like I've never received an email.
I understand that. Let
me just finish. I get a bunch of video ideas, right? Every topic that you can think of, I've had video ideas. I've never once had say, "Hey, Alex, I'm trying to bang my sister. Can you make a video on this topic?" Right? Once I get that email, then I'll start rethinking about me.
Okay, well let's address it right now. Alex, why shouldn't somebody bang their sister?
Why should someone not bang their sister? I don't know. Because incest is fucking gross, I think, because you probably should not fuck your family.
Well, I could say the same thing about having gay sex. Why shouldn't somebody have gay sex? Well, it's pretty gross. Well, make it wrong?
I mean, okay, that's a fair point you're bringing up, I guess, like, because I don't have any problem with people having gay sex. I mean, personally, it seems disgusting to me personally, but I have no problem with other people having gay sex. People fucking their sisters. I don't know. I don't really have a solid answer for why that just disgusts me. I think there's a big cultural aspect to this. I know, like, the English royalty used to marry and bang their their siblings. That didn't really turn out too well for them. So I guess we can say that if a baby is born from that, right, then that baby will come out all kinds of fucked up, versus from having gay sex, no baby can be born. So we kind of attribute that, as a unfortunate consequence come from banging your sister. I think it can also break up a family, right? Because when you're a gay dude and you break up with your boyfriend, right, you guys go your separate ways. But if you guys are family, that's going to split the family apart. So yeah, there's some kind of practical, tangible detriments that come from banging your sister that I don't really see coming from having gay sex.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about, like, the offspring, that's a slippery eugenics slope that you don't want to go down. But we could go there if you want.
I'm about to go down any road you want, man.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna, so I'm just trying to investigate your principles here.
Okay.
And when you say, like, well, incest could be bad because it has the potential to have fucked up offspring. Okay, well, there's a lot of other relationships that would result in fucked up offspring, such as somebody who has like a hereditary diabetes, like what is it? I think it's type 1 that is hereditary. That's what you could call a fucked up offspring if they inherit your diabetes. Or if a woman's over the age of 35, they have a much higher chance of having a child with Down syndrome. It's like 100 to 1,000, like literally 1,000 times more likely than like a mid-20s aged woman having offspring. So you would, like, if you're going to be consistent with that principle, you would have to say, like, oh, if you got diabetes, oh, if you've got some other genetic deformity, or if you've got if you're over the age of 35, you're not allowed to have sex because it can result in fucked up offspring, just like incest. Well, for the record, incest is illegal. So, like, when we say, like, this should be immoral, this is immoral, we're also saying, like, this should be illegal, right? So in order to be consistent, you would have to say all those things, which I don't think you would. So that's kind of where I'm just pointing out. What's that?
Yeah, that's a fair point, I guess. I mean, I guess I would say that culturally, having sex, when you're in your like late 30s, is fairly socially accepted, especially nowadays, versus having sex with your sister is very, very socially unaccepted. It's a major, major taboo. Aside from the legal issue, it's also a major social taboo. So that would be another point why you should not fuck your sister. I don't know, man. I'm just not big on fucking family. I guess call me old.
Well, I mean, gay sex was taboo 10 years ago. Hookup culture was taboo 50 to 100 years ago. It was majorly taboo.
Right, but nowadays it's not. That's the thing. We live in the current world. Well, nowadays it's not. We live in the current world.
Okay, but who's to say that incest will be not taboo 10 years from now? Like, I mean, like this is the point of, like,
when banging your sister becomes cool and socially accepted, then maybe I'll revise my position.
Well, don't you see? I'm showing you the path to how it could get there, dude. We've got, like, drag queen story. We've got people that think they can be men when they're women. They think they can be women when they're men. They think they can be non-binary. They think they can identify as helicopters. Like, we're already at the end of this slope. We've got people that are into furry stuff, which is like the slope toward bestiality. Like, how can you, or even if we're talking about, like, sex dolls, that could be a slope toward necrophilia. I mean, like, there's so many avenues.
I really don't think we're on track to bang our relatives. I just don't see that.
I'm not saying that we are, but I'm showing you the path from the ideology, from the foundation that you hold to. There is a path to it.
I don't think so. I would disagree with that. I have no way of reading the future, but I don't think we're.
Well, then you have to. If you don't think there's a path there, you have to provide the barrier, the wall that you're going to put up as a moral principle, a consistent moral principle that says this is why incest is wrong. Well, you're willing to apply everywhere else as well.
You're saying there's a path there, so the burden of proof is on you to show what that path is to bang.
I just did.
You're saying that it's because, like, now having gay sex is socially acceptable. I don't see how that has anything to do with siblings. Like, if you could say, now people are having sex with their cousins, that would be a fair argument. I'd be like, okay, cousins, that's not that far away from sisters. But we're not, we're getting nowhere closer to fucking our family members, right?
No, I'll tell you.
What argument you could possibly make, I'll actually even give you an argument that could help you, is stepsister porn is becoming more and more popular. So
it's very popular.
That's the one argument that you have on that. That's the only foreseeable argument is stepsister, but it's not sister, stepsister.
But dude, it's like,
Is that a step in that direction?
Dude, family porn is like the most popular category. Or it's like amongst the top 5 or 10. So I could go down that route, but I don't think even that necessarily gets us there.
Well, I think that's the only possible argument you have when it comes to
all I'm saying is that, like, when you say, like, well, gay sex is more taboo or is less taboo than it used to be. Well, that's because the foundation of why people are okay with gay sex and why they're okay with hookup culture is because we've become more secular. I would imagine you're not religious. I don't think that's a far cry for
clearly not
an assumption. Yeah. No. So when we get more secular and we get away from a sort of religious morality regarding sex, that opens the door for all kinds of sexual, what we used to consider taboo, sexual deviancy that didn't apply back then, but now it does, because we don't hold to any sort of hard sexual standards of morality, like any sort of hard line constraints.
Well, first of all,
and that's what these hard line. And real quick, if we did hold to like a religious standard of sexual morality nationwide, worldwide, we're gonna and we say like sex is between a man and a woman that are unrelated within the confines of marriage. There's going to be no gay sex. There's going to be no incest. There's going to be no hookup culture. There's going to be no promiscuity, and we're going to have a strong, intact family structure. But with what you propose, all of it gets put on a spectrum. It's all subjective. There's no absolute right and wrong, and there's no standard for a family, which is what society is built upon. So this is how people like you are actually destroying the structure and the fabric of society just as bad as the left and the LGBT people are.
Well, first of all, there's no people like me. There's just me, right? There's no one who does exactly what I do. Second of all, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I don't see that. This is the argument I hear, like, oh, that people who are religious make, like, oh, well, if everyone was atheist, then all our ethics and values would go out the door. I'm 100% agnostic. I hold to no religious belief, and I still have a very strong set of ethics. You can be secular and have strong values and ethics. I would say that some of the most sexually perverse people I've ever met actually were the most religious people. Just recently, Jesse Lee Peterson, who's like a hardcore Christian fundamentalist dude, just got caught fucking doing all kinds of gay shit. I've seen his parents.
No, it was fake.
What?
It was fake.
How do you know it's fake?
No evidence. There's no real evidence there.
So just because there's no real evidence in your
opinion. But hang on. I don't want to be bad faith here. Even if it is true, it's anecdotal.
Okay. Well, let's just assume for argument's sake. Look, okay, let's just assume he's innocent. There's been plenty of super religious people who have been caught doing all kinds of weird gay shit, even more fucked up shit. All the priests who fuck little boys.
It's all anecdotal. There's a bunch of atheist teachers that have been caught molesting and having.
I will fully acknowledge that. So you're saying there's no priests that have been caught fucking little boys?
No. I'm saying I'm saying it's an anecdote. It doesn't actually justify the standard or the principle that you're arguing here. Like, you could say there's 1,000 Catholic priests that molested little boys. I could say there's 1,000 atheist teachers that molested little boys. Well, who's right? Like,
sure. But I don't think that being religious actually makes you like more less likely to engage in, let's just say, fucked up behavior, right? I don't actually believe in that. And that might be a separate disagreement that we will have. I think that people who suppress their sexual urges because of religion actually wind up going a step too far and acting out on them in very weird ways. That's why you see in the Middle East, where they repress sexuality to no end, you have the practice of bachi-bazi in Afghanistan, where these old men literally bang little boys, right? Because they can't have sex with women. So you see all kinds of insanity that happens when people become too religious. So I don't believe in this fact that religion is what's holding society from falling into dark ages. I don't believe in that at all, right? That's the first thing.
What was falling into dark ages?
Where basically, like, if religion goes away, like, all morality goes away also. We're just going to be these.
Yeah, I would argue that. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, right. But I'm just saying, like, in the most religious countries, like Afghanistan, you see some of the most fucked up sexual deviancy.